Hello and welcome to another first Descendant video and another look at Ultimate Bunny. So I wanted to revisit Bunny in season 2. I had a look at Ultimate Verena a few days ago. She's still very good, and so is Ultimate Bunny. The other reason is Ultimate Bunny is being given out for free for newer players to the game who have logged in during the winter login event. So by now, most people should have finished getting their 14-day login rewards and getting the research materials for Bunny, and some of them should have finished researching Bunny as well, and they're probably looking for a good build, a current build, let's say. So I wanted to go over how Bunny works, how you should consider modding her to get the most out of her abilities, and share with you my current build for mobbing, and also mention a bit about bossing, because Bunny isn't the ideal choice for bossing, but I still have a setup that you can use if Bunny is the only fully developed, fully modded ultimate that you have. So first up, let's quickly talk about how Bunny works and how you should look at building her. So if you look at the middle of the screen, the bottom middle, you see the abilities and you see two bars at the bottom. Now, most Descendants have one bar, which is the MP bar. With Bunny, you see two bars. The first one is the MP bar as normal. The second one is a sort of electricity bar, let's call it. And that bar is filled up when you are moving. So Bunny, it's all about movement, all about running. So if you run, keep running, that bar fills up or stays filled up. And the other bar, the MP bar, that goes down if you are using your second ability. Notice that the second ability is the only ability that is available. The other three are grayed out. So the second ability, the speed of light, where she runs faster, that uses MP. The other three use the electricity. So you have to run using the second ability and fill up the meter to use the other three abilities. So basically this is how it works. So you run, you can see MP is being used and the electricity bar is being filled. Now you can see all abilities are available. I can use the first ability, I can use the second ability, I can use the third ability, and so on. So as long as you're running, your second bar is full and you'll have your abilities based on the cooldowns available to you. The first bar, the MP bar, if you mod it correctly and have enough max MP and reduce the cost of MP consumption and pick up MP orbs, you can basically keep running forever and keep damaging forever. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll just stop here and notice the MP bar starts filling up, the electricity bar keeps going down, because you have to keep moving for the electricity bar, and the MP bar, we are not using the ability, so it's filling up. So that is basically how you work with Bunny. Now let's talk a little bit about how she does damage. So this is the current build that I'm using. I'll explain it in more detail. First, let's talk a little bit about how Bunny's abilities work. So basically with Bunny, like I just showed you, we keep running with the second ability and we do a ring of damage around us with the third ability. So the setup we have is, we always want to be running. We always want our third ability, the lightning emission, to be up all the time. And a very simple way of doing that is to have the duration of the lightning emission, the third ability, to be just a little more than the cooldown. So that way, every time you have the cooldown available, you press it, your ability is always up. So you're always doing damage. And the other thing you want to do is always run. So with always run, you want to use as little MP as possible so that you use it very slowly and you keep running, and also you keep picking up MP orbs when you're in the dungeons and things like that. So both those things combined, you'll have your second and third abilities always up. The first and fourth abilities are rarely used. The fourth ability by default is a sort of beam rifle type of thing. It's exactly like a beam rifle. It's not very good. So if you stand here and do this, you can see it has the 3 stages of damage. It does decent damage, like if you can take out the elites and stuff with this if you stand in the corner. So Bunny you can use without the Transcendent mod and you can get decent damage. Now the way this works is these two abilities are electric and singular. These two are fusion, electric and fusion. We use the reactor with electric and singular, so that's why we have even less power on the fusion abilities. Normally I rarely see 1 and 4 being used. I myself don't remember when I used these two last. So the solution that we have come up with, first let me actually talk about high voltage, because this was the popular Transcendent mod early on before the 400% dungeons came in. So what this does is it changes the third ability, and it basically hits enemies with three bolts of lightning, let's say. Normally you'll have like a ring around her. So if you see, normally if you use her third ability, you'll notice there's a big ring with a huge radius around her, and you'll do damage to enemies that are within this range, within the radius or the circle, as it were. So now if we put the high voltage mod, what it does is it changes that circle into three bolts of lightning, which do more damage and have further range. So when you don't have a lot of enemies, it is actually a good way of doing damage. You can see it hits three enemies at a time, and it does quite a lot of damage to them. But in 400% dungeons where we have a lot of enemies, this can be a little inefficient because you're doing a lot of damage, but not hitting a lot of enemies. So what we do is, if you remove this mod and you go with electric condense, this gives us back our ring around Bunny, and it also gives us a little more power with the fourth ability. It changes the fourth a little bit. So basically what it does is you get the thing back, the circle, and if you use the fourth ability, it gives you a charge, gives you more power if your electricity is full, and then causes a big explosion at the end. So let me just reset this. Okay, so what happens is, let me just stand still for a minute so that the electricity meter goes down. Because if you have the fourth ability, you don't have to use the ability. If you have the mod electric condense, what it does is the more electricity you have, the more damage she does. Okay, so I'll just start it up a little bit, and you can see, look at the numbers. 120, it's 225 now, 255, 284, 343, 370 something. So the more energy you have, the more damage you do just by having that mod. Okay, so we're up to max now 461. You see that big number at the end, you're getting 461. Okay, so this is one of the benefits of the electric condense mod. Now if we make them not invincible, this also causes a big explosion. So I'll just run, I'll start this, and I'll just stand here. Notice the damage. We can almost see like 3 million damage per hit, and this just takes out the enemies here. So this is useful against sort of elites or bigger enemies which have more health. So this is basically what we use Bunny for with this build. Let's get them back here. So anyway, let's discuss the build now. So we have settled on electric condense as the Transcendent mod. I use long distance, just makes it easier. For damage, we have power increase. You can use focus on electric if you want. If you wanted the cooldown, we don't really need the extra cooldown, so I'm going for a little more power. Then we have focus on singular, and we have the two amplification mods, singular amplification and electric amplification. Now by default, Bunny, are we still doing damage? Now by default, Bunny has about 10% crit hit rate. Okay. Sharon has 20, Freyna has 5. Bunny is somewhere in the middle. You can build her for crit, but in most cases, crit is unnecessary. Like I showed you with these mobs, they don't have that much health, so there's no point having huge damage numbers and crit numbers because you're not really coming up with a challenge. Like if you play 400% dungeons in solo, or you do other missions in solo, then it's more than enough. Even in public lobbies, you are doing a fine job clearing out hordes. So you don't need more crit. But if you wanted to build a crit, you could build a crit. And the only thing you would change is these two mods, electric amplification and singular amplification. You can swap them out and put emergency measures and front lines. And that will give you some crit numbers here and there. I ran both of the dungeons over and over, and I don't see much of a difference. Going for more crit would reduce some of the quality of life mods. So that is the most I would recommend if you really wanted a grid build. But this is good enough electric amplification and singular amplification. We remove the grid damage completely, and we just go with skill power and skill power modifier. Besides this, range is important for Bunny, so we have skill expansion and maximize range. We lose 20% skill power, but range is important. We want as much range and as further away from her as possible. We have one mod for health so that we don't just get knocked all the time and not be a glass cannon. And then I have gone with two mods for skill cost reduction. This is so that we can run more comfortably. You can swap out one of these like strong mentality and go for energy collection as well. So this will get you more MP when you pick up the orbs, or you can go with what I've done, which is the strong mentality, so that even in sections where there are not a lot of enemies, like for example the invasion dungeons, you can still run and not worry about looking for MP orbs. So both are fine, whichever you prefer. Now, with all these cost reductions, I have brought down our cost to, you can see the second one, electricity cost. 266 is dropped down to 120. So we are using less electricity, we are using less MP. So you can see here MP cost is 12 by default. I've reduced it to 5.4. So we are using less MP, less electricity, meaning we have our abilities available to us more of the time. We are running for longer even without any orbs. But if you are running in 400% dungeons or anywhere where there are enemies, you'll constantly get MP drops, and you won't really have a situation where you can't run because you're out of MP. The other thing obviously is you need to have as much max MP as possible, and for that we try to maximize our MP here. We can go up to 450. We can go maybe a little more depending on the components that you get. Now, the good old Slayer set is fine, but as I've been crying about for several of my videos, I just can't find the sensor with max MP in gold. I do this every day, I run the Pyromaniac every day, but I'm still not able to find a good sensor. So for this bunny build, I've been using two pieces from the Supernova set, because this one has max MP in gold, and MP recovery in combat is also something you want in gold if you can. So try to get that. It will help you, get your MP back faster. And then you have max HP here, MP recovery in out of combat. Over here you have MP recovery modifier. So get all the MP related stuff in gold ideally, and the rest you can have some defense HP. Now the full piece, 4-piece set of Supernova will have a lot of shields and stuff. You will be a little glass cannony, so that's why I went with Annihilation to get some HP back. These two have HP rolls, and also gives us a little more duration, because the idea behind this is we want our cooldown to be just a little lower than the duration. So you can see here the cooldown is 20.5 seconds. The duration is 21.2.1. So that way we always have our third ability up. So this is how it looks. So if we are running, we start our Q, our third ability, I mean V, and our V will always be available to us if we time our ability. So every 20 seconds you just press it so that this will be always up. Okay, so, and here we go, available again, and so you can see it did not go away and it's up again. So you keep doing that multiple times, and you're picking up MP orbs along the way, and you're using very little MP to begin with, so that way you're always running. You see often bunnies who run fast and they have to slow down, and you have this ability up all the time. You can see here I've already done it twice. We also get some MP back with all the MP recovery related stuff, out of combat, in combat, stuff like that, and also some from the inversion reinforcement perks. And now finally we are out of MP. Now this is because we are in here, these guys are not dropping anything. But if we just stand still for a few seconds, we'll get our MP back very quickly. Now another thing to keep in mind with Bunny, and obviously Bunny is always running, is to have a small gun in your hand. So you have the final masterpiece, and the way with Bunny is, you can see 650 movement speed with this. If you go with the Thunder Cage, 600, you go with the beam rifle, 525. So the bigger the gun, the slower you'll move. And also, you can see Bunny has a sprint speed of 800. Now this sprint speed 800, this is the same for all the Descendants. This is the normal sprint speed, but obviously Bunny has the speed of light. So when you press the speed of light, your sprint speed goes up to 1200. Okay. And with the electric condense mod, if you do that, you get another boost of 1300 until you explode, and then this will drop back down 1200. So yeah, smaller gun, you'll move faster. And also with something like this one, you don't even lose too much when you're aiming or firing. So that's just how you get Bunny done. So reduce the cost as much as possible and have as much MP as possible and use it as little as possible. So regarding the Reactor, again, I've gone with the skill cost. This is like the only occasion where a little more skill cost reduction can be helpful. It's not that big a deal. So for example, if we look here, our cost here is 120.8. Okay. If we remove this one and we put, let's say the Colossus, we put the Colossus reactor, for example. Come on, let me put it. Now you'll see the cost has gone up from 120 to 131.4. Not a big enough change. And this one was 5.4. This is going to 5.9. So not a big enough change. You won't really notice the difference. But if you want to like squeeze as much, juice out of the MP, then you go there. So ideally for me personally, the best reactor would be singular skill power boost ratio and skill cost. That would be like with this build, the ideal. This is close enough. We have electricity, skill power boost, and skill cost in gold. So yes, just slightly better, singularity, a singular skill power boost ratio, and will have a little more damage. Now, like I said, if you have the Slayer set and you have decent health and defense and MP out of it, then you go for the Slayer because you'll get more power. But again, we don't need that much power. So that is the build for Bunny and for mobbing. A quick word about the bossing setup. First of all, the bossing reactor, you can go with singular skill power boost ratio and additional skill attack versus Colossus. This is the best reactor you can get for Bunny. Almost perfect here with the numbers over there. So this would be the reactor. And of course, you have a machine gun weapon mounting. So take the Enduring Legacy. That is a good setup. However, Bunny is not really a bosser. So for Bunny, maybe the Devourer is like the only one where you could use her if you play solo. But otherwise, there are much better Descendants at bossing. So you have Freyna, you have Haley, you have Yesa, Lepik. All those guys are much better. So build one of those for bossing instead. What Bunny can do in, like, let's say group Colossus fights is help out the team. So you have those roly-polies and you have those pink orbs coming out for the obstructor fight, and we have the Kingfishers, those sort of things. You can zap them out easily with your high voltage mod, for example. So that is about the best case for Bunny. Put another defense mod, for example, if you are going for the boss fight, maybe remove the maximized range and go with another HP mod or a defense mod, depending on whether you have a C slot or not. So you can use that option and help out the team. But otherwise, like I said, there are other people much suited for the boss fight. So yeah, that is my Bunny build for season 2 for mobbing. Here's another look at it. So the idea behind this, as you can see with the way I've named it, is always running, always doing damage, and yeah, just clearing out hordes of enemies in 400% dungeons. And this should serve you well to clear a lot of enemies very quickly before the Freynas catch up to you and spread their poison everywhere. But yeah, that is the ultimate Bunny in season 2. Thank you for watching, and let me know if you need anything else, and I'll try to make a video for that.